Angel Burton here. Welcome back, everyone, to the realm of shadow and light. I am so excited to announce a new series Mediums chat about witchcraft with Shyanne. And thank you so much for coming on, Shyanne. It's so excited to have you on here. Would you like to introduce yourself to everybody at home?
Hi guys, I'm Shyanne. I am a crone in UWS as well with Angel. That's actually how we got closer. I met you in but with the no contact rule, it was just through posts mostly. So I really got to know you in UWS. I am a full-on medium. I have all the Claire abilities, unfortunately, some days. I have been that way pretty much my entire life, from what I can tell you of. I'm a big divination witch, so I definitely work with tarot, oracle. I got into phone reading recently. I'm still working on that. Sometimes I doubt myself, let's put it that way. But I definitely understand it at least. What else? I'm learning necromancy to kind of work harder on my mediumship. That's something that is one of my witchy goals this year. So definitely looking forward to that. And me and you have discussed about being partners, so I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Yep, necromancy partners. And like the thing that people don't understand, because I see a lot of people being like, I wish I had all my clairs, you know? And I'm like, I understand it if you don't like experience it, but I have to turn myself off. And even then, like, I want to explain this to the people. You can't turn off your senses. You just have to kind of ignore them. So like, even if I'm not like tuned into myself, something will still catch me. Like, I'll smell something or I'll see something, and I'm like, I'm trying to focus. No, you know?
I think the absolute worst for me is taste. Taste. I hate when I get the last taste of somebody in my mouth. Whatever that last taste may be, I think the absolute worst for me was coming across a murder victim unintentionally. And they had the taste of blood in their mouth.
Yeah.
So what did I taste immediately was that metallic-y taste of blood. And I'm like, why? This is gross.
Yeah.
But
I went,
I have to agree
absolutely.
with you. I have to agree with you. You can't turn it off. You just learn to either adapt or just ignore it. I ignore it a lot. Up until recently, when I decided that obviously this is something that's been a part of me my entire life, and it's really been growing stronger. So I've been kind of honing in on it a little bit more. I can tell you the first oddest experience of when I really, really learned what I was doing with speaking to the dead, because to me, it was like talking to you. I didn't see through them. When I was a kid, I didn't see through them. I saw them as if they were right in front of me. I was in Gettysburg in Pennsylvania. And the big battlefield, if you learn anything about Gettysburg history, the big battle went down there, and we were on the battlefield, and I saw these soldiers just, playing it out. I could hear the sounds of the guns going off, and all of a sudden, I just dropped to the ground. Here, if that's what being shot feels like, I never want to be shot in real life. I promise you that. I looked, and when I caught my breath and realized what was going on, I looked down, and here's a bullet. An old bullet from back in the day. I actually still have it somewhere. It's somewhere, I think it's probably out in storage at this point, but I do have it still to this day. And I had a bruise from on the front of my shoulder and the back of my shoulder.
Oh, that's crazy. That is crazy. Have you been to Salem, Massachusetts yet?
No, I've been planning to go up there, and now I got 2 weeks of time this year, so I'm hoping to go up this October.
Be prepared, okay? So the last time I went was when I was 18. So when we went, we were walking around, there's like a memorial, right?
Mhm.
And you know how some people were stoned to death?
Yes.
I felt that. I felt the pressure on my chest. Like it took me a while to actually be okay to like I couldn't breathe. Like it was the worst thing. The other one, like with the taste, I actually went to St. Augustine Lighthouse and two little girls drowned there.
I love
I
Augustine.
Yeah, I experienced that the salt in my nose and in my mouth and stuff like that too. I didn't realize I was haunted until I was 25, if that makes sense. Like, I always thought I just went to a lot of haunted places. I mean, obviously, I knew I could see stuff way before that, but I thought we were just always staying in haunted hotels and stuff like that. But then, like, when I started like researching stuff and finding out that they weren't haunted, but then there was a cemetery down the street, I was like, oh, it's me. I'm haunted, you know? Because we are like beacons to them. Even if we're not paying attention or we close off our senses, they still can tell that it's up.
Mhm.
And oh, I have another really funny story. They took a pup from, I want to say, I'll send you a link to the pub, okay? It's in Delray Beach. I think it's called a Blue Anchor. I'm not 100% sure. I will actually link the website for everybody too. It came from the UK to Delray Beach, Florida, and supposedly it's haunted by the like one of the bar witches that were there, right? And my ex-husband didn't want to go in, but I wanted to go in, so I started picking on him. And my ex-husband's always was kind of like, you know what I'm saying? Like with my senses and stuff. And I was picking on him. I'm like, oh, there's a ghost. Well, something freaking hit me in the eye, like a quarter or something. There was no trees or nothing. So there was nothing around. It hit me in my eye. And my ex husband went to me and he goes, out of all people, you should know better. And I turned around to the bar and I'm like, I am so sorry. But yeah, it was like she flicked a coin at me, which would be how she would have gotten tips back then, you know? Yeah. Don't tease ghost.
I've had some crazy stories. Complete when we were kids. I grew up in a small town. Like when I
Mhm,
small town, I mean it wasn't even on the map
mhm.
till I was 11.
Okay. So, like, small town.
Yeah. Like you blink your eye and you're through it.
Mhm,
Well, there's an old school in this town,
mhm,
and it is definitely 110% haunted. Kids died in there. People want
mhm,
to bury the secrets and the hidden knowledge and everything else that's within that school, but it's
mhm,
definitely 100% haunted. We were walking, me and my friends, the one day we were walking up to the park because to get to the park you have to pass the school.
mhm.
And I just happened to look right up at the second story window, and there's this girl standing in there. And like
Oh, yeah.
I could see them plain as day.
Uh-huh,
She had blonde hair, she had green eyes, she had freckles on her face. She was uh I can what a little darker complex, like she had tanner skin. Um
mhm,
and she was wearing a white dress, like a school uniform type dress, like that you were
mhm,
supposed to wear back, like that you would wear in the olden days.
mhm.
It's like, hey guys, who's that? Do you think she wants to play?
And they're like, "There's nobody there."
And they both looked at me, looked up. They're like, what are you talking about? And I was like, nobody. I don't know. Maybe I'm just seeing things.
I've been looked at like I've been on drugs, and I'm like, if you don't know me.
One of those, no, one of the two of those same friends that
Mhm,
that group
mhm.
a couple months later was in the school with me. We snuck in. We weren't supposed to, but
Yeah.
we're kids. So
Mhm,
we snuck in and we ran up to the second story and we were just checking things out. And here we were told somebody was coming because somebody had told somebody that we were in the school, and we all freaked out.
mhm, mhm,
So we instantly ducked down so that they couldn't see us through the windows, and we were trying to plan out, figuring out how many doors were in the school and what direction would be the best way to get out without being
mhm.
So while we're sitting there quiet can be, all of a sudden we hear marbles roll across the
Yep.
floor. in the hallway in front of us, there was no marbles. And then all of a sudden we hear two little kids giggle, a little boy and a little girl giggle as, you know, it was a joke or something. And then the door slam. All of the doors in that building were locked. We tried them all. I was like, so do you guys believe me about the little girl yet?
Right. Yep.
Managed to get out of there without being caught, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I think it's weird. Why? I mean, I guess I still get physical manifestations, so I'm not gonna say you don't get them anymore as adults. Actually, I had to that my son can see too. So he can see as well. Okay. My great grandmother was having the church, like she was psychic too, so very medium, right? But she didn't know it. She was in Catholic, and she had a brother that was a priest. So my grandma said growing up, she remembers her mom having the house blessed weekly because she saw dead people. So like mine was when I started talking about seeing people, like that was something that was normal for us, you know? But this was when I was moving to Kodiak. We were driving across country. So it started with my ex-husband. We drove. The Coast Guard didn't give him enough leave because he already lived in Kodiak. So he got to drive through the main US, which is great, you know. They gave him enough leave for that. Well, then they did not give him enough leave. He had to go back to work for us to get through Canada to the Alcan to Kodiak. Like he can meet me in Anchorage and then he would have like 2 weeks off when we get there, right? So he flew back with the cat, which is really weird because my cat's my familiar, right? So it was just me, the kid, the guinea pigs, and the dog. We did take a ferry, okay? So we took a ferry up to Hayes, and then we had to drive over the border and then get to, I want to say it was Tok, Alaska. I want to say it was one of those like border towns, right? But I had to do it within a day, okay? I have Wells Fargo. This is definitely Wells Fargo protects you, but it's a pain in the butt too. Driving through Canada, when you go on the Alcan, you can lose service and there's nobody around. So it's like if you see a gas station, you need to fill up, okay? So we get to a gas station. I go to put my card in and it declines because I'm in Canada and Wells Fargo's like, what the heck, you know? So I try it again. It declines. Their little thingamabarber was closed.
Sorry. Apologize.
No worry.
Is everything.
They won't hear it when it goes on, but we'll just let them know the dog's barking, so they're trying to figure out why we're like, what's going on? So I get to there, and I'm like panicking because it's just me by myself. So I get in the car and close the door because I absolutely don't want anybody to know that I am basically stranded. I call my GPS wasn't working either because we didn't have the Canadian plan. So I close the door, get on the phone with my ex-husband talking like this, you know, telling him that the card's not working and can he call so that I can make phone calls and my GPS can like, you know, catch up. Well, a car pulls up and it didn't dawn on me that they said this. So a car pulls up after I had that conversation. So there's absolutely no way I could understand if they would have known. But it didn't dawn on me because I was in like my distress or whatever, right? And so they were like, "Oh, we heard you say that you know your card wasn't working. Do you want us to pay for your gas?" And I'm like, "No, it's okay. I'm gonna call the bank. It's fine. I'm just waiting for my husband because of course it was my husband at that time to tell me that my service is working. You know, because I'm sitting in Canada with Florida license plates by myself with a kid. You know." And then they were like, "Okay, well, do you want us to drive to the border with you?" Well, that's another 7 hours. And I was like, "Thank you so much, but no." They did not get gas. They drove away. Okay. And you know how you get that voice in your head that says, try the card again? I tried the card again. It worked. And I had not called Wells Fargo yet. Yeah. So I sat back down and I looked at my son and my son was like, who are they? I'm like, I think they were angels because, yeah, I will bet you it was a couple that died on the Alcan.
Probably.
I will bet you that's what it was.
Yep. They were definitely there in your rescue, 100%.
Yep.
Bobby, if you
Yep.
stop, I'm going to strangle you. I am so sorry.
No worries. But I kid you not, I get to Canada or to Alaska, go to fill up my tank, and my card's back off again.
That's crazy. I
Yeah.
I can say I have always seen what I consider my angel. Hold on, let me get him out of my bed.
Yeah. Okay.
That way I don't have to keep talking over his barking. Drives
Yeah.
me nuts. I apologize.
No worries.
I have always seen what I consider my guardian angel, and that is my grandmother Grace, my dad's mom.
Okay. Okay.
I have never met her physically. She had passed away from breast cancer long before my parents ever even met.
Mhm.
So I didn't even know what she looked like. I
Mhm.
didn't know what until my daughter was born, and I brought her up to meet her uncle Corey, my dad's brother. And he had pictures of her laying across his table. And that's actually when it clicked with me that I have been seeing her my whole life. I've been calling her my grandma Grace, but I couldn't actually say that it was
Yeah.
her. And I have always seen her when things have been rough. Like, she sang my daughter to sleep at night when she would wake up, and I would hear her, coo, and I'd run, check her out. She'd be standing over here singing to her. And she's like the only one that I can still see the same way I used to see them. If I do see any type of spirit, it's usually more so see-through, but I can still
Yeah.
see everything.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, like, I'm like, "Why is it changes?" You know?
It's crazy because when I'm talking to my one of my deities, Freya or Fenrir, I see them as clearly as I see you,
Yeah.
but not everything is the same way for me anymore.
Yeah.
I've known she was my guardian angel. She had apparently, when I was a baby, she was there to catch me when I fell off the bed, when my mom had fallen asleep with me on her chest.
Mhm.
And when my mom realized that I was missing, not that it was very long or anything, she realized I was missing and I was laying on the ground. What was right next to my head was a nail sticking up.
Oh, wow. That coulda killed you with how
Yeah.
soft and
So
yeah.
my mom had always said that she's felt her presence when she was living with my pap, and then to see her and when I was growing up, and then to see her with my kid, it started really clicking. And I
Mhm.
think she has been one of the most influential to keep me open to my abilities. She's definitely my guardian angel.
Yeah.
Talk about medium. If we're going to keep going down the medium line, one
Yeah.
of my craziest, I think creepiest, still actually gives me the shivers to this day.
Mhm.
We all know there's good and evil. No, there's always a yin to a yang. Do I believe that it is defined the way Christianity makes it? No. I have had this discussion with my mom on 1,001 occasions, and
Mhm.
she's a Christian witch herself. So it's funny because we're on the same page with a lot of things. But I believe there's always a good and there's an evil. Well, me and my best friend James, when we were teenagers, there's a book that tells you the most haunted places in Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
So we went, and there was one of those places is the cemetery right across from our high school.
What a place for a cemetery.
It's crazy. It's great. So the rule goes, there's angel statues. So you walk through the gate. There's 3 different entries to walk through the front gate. Now you can sneak in through the back way too if you really want to, but there's 3 gates. So in the middle, you go down a little bit, and then there's these 2 angel statues that sit there. It is said that when the sun goes down, you are not to go through the angels
Okay.
because you will attract the evil that's within the cemetery. Because not all the spirits there are good spirits. Me and my friends are idiots, and we decided to test that theory one night.
No.
And
I already see where this is going.
so let's put this into perspective. We had a good 8 inches or better of snow. Like, it was up to my knees. Okay.
Okay.
If you stomped on the snow, no matter how hard you stomp on snow, there is always snow underneath your footprints, correct?
Yep.
Okay. I just need to make that a very known statement for a second.
And you're not running fast because of how deep the snow is, too. There would be more than just footprints. There'll be like drag marks. Yep.
So we were walking through the cemetery and we decided to walk right through the angels, and we just keep on walking. Everything's fine for about 10 seconds. And then the whole atmosphere changed. You could feel the change drastically. And we happened to look down, and there's these footprints that weren't there before. Now, mind you, none, there's footprints everywhere. It's a cemetery. People are going to say whatever to their loved ones, so on and so forth. But these were not there. These were cowboy boots with the spurs.
Ooh.
Dude was definitely a size 11. And they led right back to a specific grave. This grave, you can't really read the name or the date on it. It is marked, but you can't. It's one of the older graves within the cemetery. It's way in the back.
Okay. Yeah.
So we decided to continue to follow these all the way back there. And we get back to this tombstone, and I just looked at James and it's like, so I don't feel like we should be here right now. I was like, I think we really made a bad decision. Like, this was definitely a horrible idea. He looked at me and he's like, I'm actually starting to get the same feeling. No sooner does he say that, we hear this full-on cackle, like that old movie star, deep voice, outlaw cowboy cackle. And then I felt a hot breath on me. And we were standing like a good bit apart. And mind you, I had a scarf on. I'm bundled. It is cold. And I am now hot.
Okay. Yep.
This is now not okay. I looked up and all I seen was red eyes and sharpened white teeth and a black face. Like, nothing.
Oh my
But
goodness.
looking through the internal of nothing. And he has a cowboy hat on and the cowboy boots with spurs. I looked at James and I was like, we need to go now. And obviously are not running that fast.
Yeah.
We're running as fast as we can, but we're not running that fast. And we hear the spurs clicking every step this dude's taking. Now he's walking, but his footsteps are like wide.
Yeah.
So we were going to get out of the cemetery and we're running up the road. This thing, whatever it was definitely evil. It was some kind of evil being. He chased us all the way up the street and around the corner. We got a good 4 houses down after we rounded the corner, turned around, and he stood on the corner of that. Before he turned around, he stood on the corner, winked at us, laughed, and said, I'll see you again someday. And
Oh my
around and
goodness.
walked away. I've never stepped foot back in that cemetery since.
I bet he hit another witch's house with a warding. I bet they knew what happened there, and that's why he couldn't go any further.
Yep.
I will.
Thinking about that back then, I was a teen. I was just
Yeah.
terrified at this point, and I've been seeing things my whole entire life, but this is the first time I've encountered something so dark. And I'm dark. That was pure evil. I don't know what was manifested in that thing. But I went from being freezing and shivering and cold to I was sweating.
Yeah.
That was a definitely creepy creepy one for me.
I wonder if he was a outlaw and like he killed a lot, because I honestly believe a lot of your demonic like hauntings are bad human souls.
Yeah, because
You know?
are honestly the worst creatures on the planet if
Mhm,
you think about it. We're the
mhm,
ones that want war and destruction, and we cause famine, and we cause
mhm.
the nature to deplete all
Yeah,
the time. Like, if it wasn't for us, nature would be free. So, yeah, I can agree with you on that. I agree 100%.
yeah. Too bad it didn't, because of not being able to see the name, you can't look into it to see either. But I will bet you he was an outlaw that killed a lot of people, did all that really bad stuff back then, and that was like his doom is out.
I think somebody definitely either had a warding on their
Mhm,
home, or they already knew about this malevolent spirit, and they
mhm.
had him trapped in a specific area. Like, he just couldn't leave this specific area. He had this much room, but he
Mhm.
can't go any further. But I'll never step foot back in there.
Oh, no, absolutely not. Because he's waiting for you. I mean, it doesn't matter. He knows your life force, you know? But when you were telling the story, what I saw, which you would understand this, so I kind of have to like explain it to other people. I was seeing that, and I saw like the wall that he stopped. Oh, like that's something about being like a medium too, and like having psychic abilities and stuff like that, especially when you're so connected with oracle stuff. I bet you that corner house, if they didn't have their house, something at some point knew that spirit was in there and they trapped it there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a terrible place to have a cemetery across from a
Mhm,
school, but
mhm.
I think that's probably why they did a
Yeah.
specific wording, to protect
Yeah.
children.
Oh, yeah, because kids are stupid.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. Gonna do everything you tell them not to do. So, yep.
Kids
Yeah.
will be kids.
Yeah. Oh, and talking about guardians. Okay, so my son, his guardian's my grandfather. He's never met my grandfather. My grandfather was the one that passed away when I was 13. So right when I was coming in my senses. So he actually was my first death I sensed. So I grew up living with kind of like how I live with my mom and grandma now because I'm helping take care of my grandma. I grew up with my mom, my grandma, and my grandpa. So I always lived with them. And he had throat cancer and he was, I'm going to start crying. I haven't cried about this in like forever because it's been a long time. He was supposed to have 24-hour hospice care. So it was like end of life stuff. The day that he died, I was at school and I got to the corner of the house and I looked down and I saw that like there wasn't a car there. So it meant there was no 24-hour. But I'm a kid. I'm 13. I was like, oh, that's weird. Maybe it hasn't started yet. You're right. You know, as
Yeah.
loud as I'm talking to you, somebody said grandpa died. Like blunt, just like that. But being a kid, I kind of just shrugged it off. I go to the house and my grandma tries to tell me that he died without telling me he died, but she had to like tell me he died because I just wasn't getting it. I had dreams about him for the next 3 days, and only I knew he was dead. So then let's fast forward. Whenever he comes, I smell cigarette smoke because that's what I equate him with because he always smoked. He smoked like a chimney when I was growing up. I'm sure I'm gonna end up with lung cancer because of secondhand smoke because he smoked like a chimney, you know? So I had my son. My son and I almost died. Like it was a really, really hard pregnancy, whatever, right? I was inside my house in Kodiak. No windows were open. I mean, it was freezing outside. No windows were open, nothing. It was a very cold, I want to say it was like August. It may have been right after I brought him home too. So like July, August. So there's no way I was smelling cigarette smoke from the neighbors, nor was anywhere close enough to smell it. I
Yeah.
was sitting there and he started tracking at the week old or however old he was, and he started laughing. I smelled the cigarette smoke. I tell you, I left him on the ground on his having his tummy time and called my mom, called my grandma and said, "Grandpa just came and visited me." And like I said, my mom and grandma don't question it. When I say something, they take like my instinct and stuff like that. They never like question stuff like that. And my grandma's like, probably, you know? So then let's fast forward to when Logan was 3. So he started seeing stuff when he was 3, which I did too, but like you never really know what you're seeing at that young. And
Yeah.
he described my grandpa. My grandpa had so like all my memories I have of him, even though he has different clothes, he had this favorite black and red flannel shirt, right? He
Mhm.
was standing in his other grandpa's house. So this isn't even like connected to anything. And Logan tells me that he sees somebody, right? And it turns out that it was my grandpa. He described my grandpa at 3 years old to the T.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I have a similar experience with my daughter. My daughter can see them as well,
Mhm.
which is, it just runs in the family, to be completely both. My mom can't necessarily see them all the time.
Mhm.
She smells them and hears
Mhm.
them. I don't know so much on my dad, but I know for a fact he hears them because I've
Mhm.
definitely heard him have a full-on conversation with his mother, my grandma.
Yeah.
My best friend, talk about hard conversations.
Mhm.
My best friend had passed away in 2018.
Okay.
He was my ride or die.
Mhm.
He was super, super close with my daughter too.
Mhm.
And the one day she was out in the playroom and all of a sudden I just heard her laughing and giggling and, having the time of her life. She was an only kid at that time. I have now 6 more children, my step boys, but she was an only kid at that point. So to hear her laughing and giggling wasn't necessarily the most usual for her, not in that extent.
Yeah.
I would hear her giggle and laugh, but not to that extent unless somebody was talking to her. Well, at that point in time, I guess my best friend didn't want me to know that he was necessarily there in spirit.
Mhm.
You have those. It actually took up until last year for me to actually finally have contact with him again. So, she looked right at me and goes, "Uncle Ty's here, Ma. Uncle Ty's here. He's making me laugh. He's tickling me."
Mhm.
I was like, "Okay, I'll leave you to it." She goes, "He comes and tucks me in at night too, Ma."
Aw. Oh my goodness.
And that went on for quite a few years. That's what I kept hearing from her. So she definitely has 2 of them watching over her.
Yeah.
I think that was definitely the one that caught me off guard with that was the first time I ever heard her talk about seeing anybody. I mean, I knew she'd seen her grandma. She
Yeah.
wasn't old enough to talk at that point.
Yeah.
She was still a baby. So, not baby, but, still not using words yet, babbling at that point.
Mhm.
So I knew she could see her, but she couldn't say that. She knew who Ty was. And she described him too, like he wore the same outfit all the time when he would be with her, which was his usual black t-shirt and black
Mhm.
shorts or black pants. And he's a weirdo. He always wore a hoodie even in the middle of summer. Oh, like he described his purple hoodie to a T, and she's roughly the same age as your son was. And I'm like, you can't make that up.
Mm-mm.
Can't make that up.
No.
I
Nope.
don't care who you are, you can't make that up.
Nope. No, and she may not remember because of how young she was too. There's no way to make that up, you know.
Yeah.
And they will, and they're so honest and young, like when they're young like that. So there is no way. But yeah, when he told me he saw that, although he did have one that kind of scared me, he was seeing somebody in my backyard with no hands and no feet running around. And I'm like, oh, at least they're outside, but like, let's not. So the way my house is, there's no cemeteries directly close to us, but I'm like in the middle of like 5 of them. Like in our apartment, it was far worse for me and my son because we were literally across the street from the cemetery, and they were building new houses on the other side of the road. So everything was always those houses are so haunted. It may have calmed down now because it's been there, but everybody in the cemetery wants to see what's going on because some people don't leave; they don't cross over. they stay, I don't know why they stay in the cemetery, you
My
know.
problem is I live right up against two main mountain ranges, one for
Okay.
Pennsylvania and one that goes across multiple states. It's the
Okay.
Appalachia.
Okay, yep.
There has been how many counts of murders that have
Mhm.
happened up there in
Yep.
just the Appalachia alone.
Mhm.
I can tell you, just like I know there's suicides, my air quotes, that nobody can see, but the suicide
Yeah.
happen up there, and I'm
Yep.
right up against it. So, like,
Yep.
I may not live in near an actual cemetery, but I might as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. People
Weird
getting
things happen a
lost.
lot.
Yep. Oh, speaking of mountains, Bigfoot. I have, like, 2 stories that I have to share too.
So what
I went to
you right now about Bigfoot?
I went to, Mount St. Helens, and you know how they say, like, if they're around, you'll feel like you're being watched?
Mhm.
I kid you not. We were walking through this one part, and it felt like I was being watched completely all the time. I did not know Bigfoot was, like, a thing there until, like, we go to a shopping, like, a little gift shop, and they have this huge Bigfoot, and I was like, I didn't see anything, but I felt like I was being watched. I usually don't have issue with elementals because I'm so respectful of the earth. So,
I'm the same way. I'm all about me and the earth and all my elements. Represent the elements on all of my altars because
Mm.
they are definitely one of my biggest things to work with. I've had some weird, weird things happen in the woods.
Mhm. Yep. Yep.
And I just chalk that up to the fact that, again, I live right alongside the Appalachia.
Yeah,
Anything is possible.
are there mines near you too? Because I know mines will cause a lot. Like those mine towns are really haunted.
Yeah, well, there's a bit, Lycans is only 10 minutes from me. So yeah, we have
Yeah.
a lot, couple towns within a 30-minute range of me. Because I live in the backwoods of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well.
most of it is mining. And then, I'm in PA. So we
Mhm.
also have, yeah,
Yeah.
that's fun. That's a fun time. And
Yeah.
again, Gettysburg is definitely my most favorite. If you will really
Mhm.
want to test your mediumship out,
Oh
Gettysburg is
yeah.
definitely the right place to go. I'm trying to make my way back out there. It's only 2 hours from me.
Oh, really nice.
I wanna make my way back out there for that. I don't know. Like I said, this is my year. And with me testing in with the necromancy, it's definitely
Yeah.
the best place to go.
hmm Remember when you did your live on the folklore and you were talking about Wendigo and I showed you the picture behind you? I'm like, hey, just so you know, like, was that normally there?
That is and that had to have only been there for so long because no sooner
Mhm.
did you send that, I looked behind me and I was like, "No, nope, it's definitely not usually there
Yeah.
because there was
Yeah,
nothing."
because I think I caught that on the replay because I watched it live and I didn't notice it then, but when I watched the replay, I took that picture because I was like, huh. I was like, is there something normally there? Because I always debunk by looking for normal things too.
Mhm.
So I was like, I would not go out tonight. I mean, I know you were just teaching, but let's just not.
It's what I mean, like,
Uh,
I try to watch it's so hard for me to come up with certain lives, and because I've been working on the Appalachian series.
yeah.
It's something that I'm personally struggling with teaching, not because it's hard to teach, but because I'm afraid to say certain things. One,
hmm
because I don't wanna upset all of the culture.
hmm
I don't wanna upset what lives right behind me.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's why I sent you that picture because I'm like, I know where you live. Let's not. Oh, and then here's a statement you will never hear. A jackalope saved my life.
Okay?
Yeah, Yeah, because they actually are supposed to be ominous, right? We were driving at night through Wyoming. Never do that. Do not do that. There's aliens. Logan and I swear there's aliens. And there are big, big deer or, antelope or caribou or whatever. Like, I don't know what we almost ran into. So we were driving down the road. I was looking out the window, and I kid you not, next to this mailbox, there was a jackalope looking full on spirit animal. I mean, it was definitely a spirit animal, right? I looked out the window. My cat was on the dashboard, okay? I go to my ex-husband. I go, I just saw a jackalope. He was like, oh. 5 seconds later, he's slamming on the brakes because there are antelope. I almost said cantaloupe. There's cantaloupe. There's antelope crossing the street, and they panicked. He stopped where there's like an inch between one of them and us.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and like I grabbed the cat off of the dashboard. We stopped. We had to sit there because we had to wait for this huge herd to go by, right? And I went to Joey, and I was like, that jackalope just saved our life because I recognized that it was there, because I literally said to him, like, hey, we should slow down because I swear I just saw a jackalope. And like I said, he doesn't crush me. Yeah, we were in a little Honda Civic, and he literally turned that car sideways in the road, slamming on the brakes. If we would have hit something, it definitely would have killed the cat. Probably would have killed me and him because we were in the front seat, But yeah, I grabbed the cat off of the dashboard and put him in my lap, and I was just like, oh my gosh,
That's crazy. That is
Yeah.
crazy. My husband's been seeing a random white dog.
Oh.
It has been seen. He's seen it like when I'm in my room and the door's open because 90% of the time the door's open. And he has seen it leave my room as if it was beckoning me to follow it, but I haven't seen it. I've felt presence, like I've felt the presence of it, but I've never actually seen it. And he said that's happened numerous times. And then recently he's seen a woman. And then I know there's something going on here. And I'm telling you, when I say I protect our home, I mean I protect our home ridiculously. And I know there's definitely something here because I've heard random footsteps go up and down our stairs to the basement when everybody's in bed. And the only dog that goes up and down those stairs is mine. And he's always back here with me. I've heard random coughing when nobody's downstairs, and it definitely sounds like a hoarse, old man cough. And I'm not the only one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Definitely weird.
Yeah. Maybe somebody passed away in the house. Like, my house is haunted, but it's haunted by my grandpa because he passed away. Literally, right where I'm sitting is where he passed away. When I first moved into his bedroom. So my grandma and my grandpa did not share a bedroom because she broke her hip. She broke her hip when I was a baby. So from that point on, he was up and down all night, and she couldn't take it because of the pain. So he had his own room. My mom and I shared a room, and then she had her own room. So when he passed away, I got her room. So the only place my bed could be is where his bed was. And he passed away in his bed. Me being weird, now I have it straight because I don't care. I mean, I literally have a Santa Muerte altar above my bed. So I literally have death above my bed now. But when I was little, I would always have it on an angle, So I know my house is haunted by him. He'll be here probably until all of us move,
Yeah.
But yeah, what kind of dog did your husband see? Was it like a wolf or?
I don't know. I would see if it's a wolf, it makes sense because a wolf is one of my spirit animals. So that would honestly make sense. But he just says a white fluffy dog,
which could be a wolf. Like, for some reason, I'm seeing like a wolf or a husky. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What animals are you doing in our series? Are you doing a wolf? I thought so. I bet you it's a wolf.
Wolf,
I bet you that's it.
what was it? Wolf, Raven, and like 2 others that I'm doing because I knew certain ones a lot of people would definitely choose, and I'm like, I just want to make sure that I get the wolf. Like that's
Yeah.
my biggest one because that is my spirit animal.
Mhm.
I love wolves. That's how I would see my death is I'd
Mm.
go and be like, cuddly puppy,
Right. Yep. Yep.
cuddly
Yeah.
puppy is
I don't
hungry.
I wanted to hug a bear once. I'll have to send you the picture.
I was a good 2 from a bear cub when
Oh, that's not a good place to be.
I went to go me and my mom were recycling. I was still a kid at that point. We went to go over to the recycling bins and I wasn't paying attention. We were just pulling out the
Mhm.
bins and everything. And
Mhm.
I went to start walking over to the recycling bin and I stopped midway through it because I looked and there's a bear.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
was just like, hmm. Ooh.
Mhm.
I took a picture of it. I went back to the car,
Mhm.
sat down and closed the door because
Mhm.
wherever the cub is, mama's not too far behind.
Yep. Yeah, that's why I said not a good place to be. Yep. Um, in Kodiak. I don't know how many times I called military police in Kodiak because of bears. I remember I lived, my son was born in Kodiak. So, like, beginning of marriage, we lived in Kodiak. And then towards his retirement, we lived in Kodiak. So, like, his last tour was Kodiak so that my son could see where he was from. So, I was walking to induce labor because I was just having like cramps and I was miserable. And I started to walk down and I saw ears at the trash. And I mean, I'm sure you had bear trash too, like, so they really can't get into it unless somebody forgets. I saw the ears popped up. I slowly turned around, went the other way. I had that look and I grabbed the phone and my ex-subs is like, "You saw a bear, didn't you?" I was like, "Oh yeah. Yeah, sure did." And then the last time we went, I've called multiple times. We lived on base and we were leaving the movie theater and I'm like on my cell phone because the bear is running towards the movie theater, you know? Now, they don't do anything to the bears. Obviously, they scare them off, but they will be aware and tell wherever you're at to know that there's no bear, you know? And then we went, when I said I wanted to hug a bear, we were doing a touristy thing. Somebody was visiting us. So we went down and we saw the bear, and it was a young bear, and he was so cute. And like my pictures look like I'm right up on him, but I'm not. I'm like on a bridge, and he's like 100 feet away, you know, probably a little bit more than that. We started coming over. I'm like, I want to hug him, but I know that means death, you know?
I'm telling you,
Yep. Yeah, for my animals, I think I have like 7 spirit animals.
I think I have like 4. I know for a fact it's a raven and a wolf.
Mm.
I want to say I might have threw penguin in there.
You did, yes. Yep, because
The
I know.
penguins are one of my favorite animals. Between penguins and wolves, I collect penguins, everything
Mhm,
penguins. I
mhm,
have so many stuffed penguins, it's ridiculous.
mhm. Yeah, my son's spirit animal is a penguin, which is so funny because mine's an orca.
There you go.
He's like, "Yours eat mine." I did orca, I did crow, so we should probably do our 2 close together or even do a duel for that because they're so close, the raven and the crow.
Yeah.
Peacock, I wanna say dolphin too. But I remember I had my cards and I was thinking about it, and then like 4 cards fell out. You remember I sent the picture. I'm like, well, I guess I'm doing on these animals too. So yeah. But yes, we have a spirit animal series coming up too. I find myself like doing so much with the lives. Like I can't not just do one a week or one a month.
I
Like,
limit myself during certain times of the year with sport seasons and stuff
mhm,
because my daughter does softball and I
mhm,
usually coach her spring season. And actually, this year I'm head coaching her team for spring season.
fun.
Ah, And then my boys usually do soccer. Now, only one of them's doing spring soccer this year, so
Okay.
don't have to worry too much about chaos. And then come fall, my daughter will be back into softball because we do it twice a year, which I think is stupid, but hey, whatever. I only say that because by September to October, depending on the year, it's either still nice or we have snow.
Yeah.
So I think it's stupid. But
Mhm.
and then my other boy wants to do basketball. My daughter's thinking about doing basketball since she'll be in the middle school next year.
Mhm.
So, like, it gets a little crazy during certain times of the year. So
Yeah.
I kind of just limit myself at this
Mhm.
point. Plus, I'm trying a new leaf this year. I have a motto that I am sticking to, and I'm hoping that it helps me actually get a little bit further because I felt very stagnant recently in my craft.
Mhm. Me
I,
too.
I don't know. I think it's just in the air.
Mhm. Yeah, that's why I'm excited about the necromancy. That's why I was so excited because I didn't know you were doing it. I just wanted to know. Yep. Nice. Because I knew you were doing, like, I know you mentioned bone tossing, which is or throwing. That's why I asked you. And then you're like, oh, I'm doing necromancy too. I'm like, great. We could be partners on it. Because Persephone has been harassing me for 5 years to get into necromancy.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh. See, my thing is I'm trying to figure out whom to work with for my necromancy. 'Cause, okay, so my deities, my main two are
Hmm.
Freya and Hel.
Hmm.
I also work with Fenrir and Anubis.
Hmm.
3 out of the 4 are death gods or gods.
Yeah. Yeah.
Freya is the goddess of love, war, and death.
Hmm.
Beauty.
Yeah.
Hel, the goddess of the underworld in Norse mythology, and Anubis, alongside Osiris,
Hmm.
does death for Egypt. And I'm like, who do I want to work with that? So, and
Right?
for thinking on it, I decided that I'm just going to do a sit down full meditation session
Hmm.
and have them tell me.
Want to be like somebody completely different? Like,
I do, like, I just want somebody to tell me because I don't want to play spin the wheel and get it wrong and they get upset with
mhm,
me.
mhm,
I want to, especially, with the necromancy, once you make your, bear with me, I need to put the phone in real quick. Once you pick your person, you are supposed to seal your tools with their seal and
yeah,
to make the bond stronger for when you do your workings. So I don't want to be like, "Well, I'm going to bond it all with Freya's seal today." And
mhm,
then she'd be like, nah,
I don't want to.
you ain't working with this today. This ain't for me. I want to do this with you instead. Because she's
Mhm,
been my personal coach.
yeah,
I go to her for all my, like, main issues, I guess you can say. She's like another mom.
yeah,
And, with Hell, I don't want to put her seal on and her be like, didn't we just talk about the shadow work stuff? Like,
mhm,
isn't that what we on or something like that?
yeah, yeah,
And then with Anubis, my biggest issue with Anubis is just the fact that I don't have an altar specific to him yet.
mhm,
I have Hel and Fenrir share an altar
mhm,
because those two have agreed to it.
mhm,
They have, and because they coexist with each other anyway, they're brother and sister.
mhm, mhm,
So they're cool. They're cool with it. I made sure that they were cool with it, and
mm,
they also shared that same altar with my ancestors
okay, yeah,
because I feel the most connection to them when I have hell nearby, because I feel like she helps open that bridge for me sometimes. Because
Yeah.
I can, again, talk to spirits, all different types of spirits all day long, but for me and my loved ones, it's a harder time to connect with them. And I need that extra, and hell understands that.
Yeah.
So that altar is all like in one, and then I got nothing for him. I mean, she said, if I need to offer and I want to work with him, I can use her altar upon occasions, but Anubis doesn't like that. He wants his own.
No, yeah. Yep, yep. And that's the thing about these Hecate is like that too. She wants something completely for herself. Apollo and Artemis, at least with me, will not share. And it's funny because they're twins. They will not.
Freya is very odd too. Freya is a hit or miss. Only time Freya is okay with her altar being used in a way with others is during Yule, when I'm doing the traditions, because I go through the Norse traditions. So,
Yeah.
I can only I'm not trying to make 50 million altars.
Exactly.
And I honor each god and goddess on their nights and stuff like that. So she's agreed to work with me for that. But outside of that, she doesn't want to share anymore. That's why I had to make her.
Yeah, yeah. And people are gonna be like, wow. But it's true. Like, I need to make another altar too, because now I'm working with Lilith. One of the reasons why I haven't worked with Persephone yet, and obviously that's who I'd be working with necromancy, because she came to me, so obviously it's her. It's because she comes with Hades.
That makes sense.
And Hades is like a god. Like, you need to do your devotions to him. He needs his own space. Obviously, he'll share with her, but he demands like all this stuff. And I think that's why I haven't gone into necromancy, is because of him. Not because I'm scared of him, but because for the longest time, and he's probably who caused my car accident, if you think about it, because for the longest time, I didn't have the time to spend with. Just give him that. Give him something every day. Santa Marite is the same way. I am not a devotee to her, so I think that's why I can get away with not being so devoted with her. But I hear about it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, I won't, because I have not been devoting to her like I should be. I will not ask her for anything, because
I don't blame.
It's been a minute. Yeah, it's been a minute. She needs, like, Halloween time, it's 100% her, but I'm not disciplined enough yet. So, like, and I hear about it. Like, stuff will start falling off on my head. I'm like, okay, I gotta clean you. I gotta give you new, offerings and stuff like that. But I'm also aware that I'm not
just an incantation for her in my necromancy card. And I'm like, I'm not, well, I don't think I'm ready to have that kind of connection. Not because she scares me, but because she's a lot.
She is. Yep.
Freya is a lot enough for me, and so is Hell. Hell is, like, I have to. She has recently been yelling at me in her own little way because I haven't given her any, like, true devotions recently. So I haven't asked her anything either.
This just came off my wall as I was talking about it.
Lucky for me.
No, yeah.
Hell is downstairs. Freya, however, she's definitely listening.
Yeah, I have to. I gotta get her new flowers and new stuff. And I've always had to call to Santa Marite too. Like, when I was in Spanish, it's like, pick a holiday. I always picked,
Dia de los Muertos.
Yep.
I
always.
love Muertos. I love the celebrations. I love how they honor the dead. I really do. I've always enjoyed the Spanish aspect. I learned Spanish since I was like 3. It's not in my family, but my mom taught it to me, and then I learned it in school, and I learned their customs. But I love learning traditions of other places.
Yeah.
It's amusing and amazing to see how different the world is outside of here.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to go to Mexico and go see that.
Love to.
There's a town that is completely devoted to her too. Like they will crawl on their knees to her. Like when we say she's a lot, she is a lot. Like, and I know she's
To
a
the
lot.
Aztec temple.
Yep. Yeah, and I know she's a lot, and I know I don't give her enough attention to work with her. So, yeah. When I start necromancy, I have to pick it up because I can't ignore that she's been calling to me. But yeah, I don't ask her for anything right now because I'm not devoted like I should be. And that's what it's going to be like with Hades too, is like I have to make sure I can give that to him because I'm not trying to sabotage myself either.
Yeah, I don't blame you there. I don't necessarily. Recently, the devotion is I'm trying to more so when my boys are down in the basement on the weekends. That's where my altar is for health. So I don't go down there on the weekends to really devote to her. Now, I think she's finally understood. We actually recently had a chit chat because I was tired of her giving me bad things because I wasn't devoting to her. I would find something new off of my altar that shouldn't have been off my altar, or things
Yeah.
gone missing that shouldn't have gone missing, and I know my kids didn't get into it.
I brought the fairies in last year because it was cold, and I left them in too long, and my spoons went missing. Like all my spoons. Well, this year they're outside. They can freeze. Not really. I don't really mean that. I still have my Christmas trees up, because of that part of the tradition where you bring them in for the fairies. They're gonna go down in on the 1st, but yeah. So I'm sure they're in my trees, and I put bells on them. And I kid you not, last year the bells were out. Yeah, they were, yeah, but I left them in way too long because I have an outdoor altar. Artemis does allow me to do this because she gets the whole top. It's a bookshelf, an old bookshelf that I took a greenhouse cover on it. So because I have that greenhouse cover on it, she lets me do it because I technically, like, the top is hers and then it's sealed off to the fairies. So I have her altar on the very top, and then I have a fairy garden, and then it goes out into the garden. And so, yeah. So last year I brought all the statues in and left them in too long.
Me and my daughter are just about done with my fairy garden. She finished hers last year, but because mine wasn't done, she refused to put hers out.
Gotcha, yeah.
And so this spring I promised her that we would definitely do that, and she wants me to help her make a fairy circle out of our willow tree bark.
Okay.
She can see through it to see the fairies when we put their gardens outside.
Oh, I love that. Now, when you bring them in, be careful because they do come in with them, and don't leave them in till you log. I actually
put something over top of them, and they can just heat up themselves for the winter.
Yeah.
Because I don't need them tormenting the dog.
No, and they do. They do. No, I'm dead serious when I say all my spoons are gone. So now I actually zip up the greenhouse so it's nice and warm in there. So do that. Just do the greenhouse, But that was me being like, I want to completely redo it, Yeah, do not do that. Do not do that. I also was like initiated into the unseelie court, and I always forget that. Always forget that until I go out at night and they run up on me, but don't do anything because they recognize me. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, because you don't want to be around if an unseelie is around,
Yeah.
Me slurping. Wow, we actually talked for an hour just on mediumship, which is kind of funny. Yeah.
I told you, if you get
is
me started on it, I can talk. I can talk because it's something natural because it's a big part of life.
Yeah, when we started talking, I think I saw your grandma, because I saw it was like a green purplish energy over your right shoulder.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
She's a she's always near somewhere,
Mhm,
especially if I'm back here in my room by myself.
mhm,
She always comes in to check on me. I had a real bad issue with depression. So if
mm,
I'm
yeah,
in my room in any way, whether I'm talking to somebody or not, she always has to come make sure that I'm in here for not a bad reason.
gotcha, yeah, gotcha, which is good because she's watching you too. Yeah, because at first I thought it was your aura, but I'm like, "Why is it all on one side?" And then it kinda took I didn't see her, so I didn't see what she looked like, but it kinda took a shape, I'm like, "Oh, it's a guide. Alright, that's fine." Yeah, I was like, "Are you stressed? Like, your aura's so."
I mean, I am, if that's any consolation.
Was she good with, like, plants and stuff like that? Do you know anything about her?
Nobody talks about her. That's
Okay.
the worst. That's
Yeah.
honestly the worst for me is the most I get is hey, you look just like her. You
Uh-huh.
remind me of your grandma. You have your eyes of your grandma. Your
Mhm,
grandma Grace would be proud of you. Okay,
mhm.
that's cool. Can somebody talk to me about her? No, no.
Right?
It's a really touchy subject. My pap, he'll talk if I push hard enough.
Yeah, gotcha.
He's about the only one that
Uh-huh.
really will. My dad was in a bad place when she passed.
Mm,
He wasn't even in the house. Like, he was in a real bad place, so he won't talk about her. And the same with my Uncle Corey.
gotcha.
And the only other brother that could talk about her, he's handicapped.
Gotcha.
So it's a little bit more difficult to get him to say something. He's more about, yeah, we're gonna get him, and wrestling, and you're going down, and just, he does not comprehend that.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. Well, plus, he may still see her.
Oh, I know he does.
Just like, you know what I'm saying?
He
Yeah.
said that he sees her 110%. We've heard him have conversations with her. He'll call out mom and stuff like that, but his conversations and our conversations are two totally different conversations
Exactly.
because he has mental handicapness.
Yeah. So, yeah, so he probably sees her just like how we saw spirits when we were younger. Like,
Yeah.
there is no connection that it's not her anymore, and it's just a spirit, you know?
Yeah. He doesn't fully comprehend, definitely.
Mhm.
But he's a something else, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I love that. Well, my dog alarm is actually starting to go off. He just sat up. So I guess I definitely want you to come back on. So we'll
Absolutely.
schedule that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And
Thank
we
you.
can meet again. We can start doing a weekly thing if you would like.
Absolutely. Like, I would love to do that. Like, especially all you girls. You guys are so supportive of me. And all the members of like Witches Owl Exchange and the Unseen Witches Society. I almost mixed those up. It almost came out the Witches Society and, and the Unseen Owl.
But a touch to a word. No, just kidding.
Right, right. But I do absolutely appreciate you guys, and thank you so much again.
Absolutely. It's been great. I love our chit chats and I look forward to more. And think about it, we can start talking once we start sitting down studying, we can also start talking about our necromancy travels together.
That could be like a weekly diary kind of thing that we share with the world, I guess, you know,
Exactly.
because definitely. All right, well, thank you so much. Bye.
Absolutely. See you, Angel.
Bye. I absolutely love this episode. I haven't had anyone to chat with about my medium abilities before. I am so excited to have this series with Cheyenne.